Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be working with state within React. So we're going to be using a couple of different things. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to download the Material UI framework. And Material UI is a framework that we can use within React to make buttons and forms and things for us to use. It just speeds up the development process. But the first thing we need to do is we need to create a class-based component which will hold our state. So to do this, inside our components folder, we're going to create our new file. So I'm just going to go and run our React application to show you what we have at the moment before we actually go and create our component with our state. So if I run our React application by saying npm start, this will start up our React application in the web browser. And what you're looking at here is just what we've worked on in the previous video on this channel. So if you're unfamiliar with what this is, or how you get the button to look like this, or the text, or how to create components, definitely go and check out some of them previous videos before you go and finish watching this video. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump on and we're going to go to the React documentation. So if you go and Google React docs, the first link that you'll find is reactjs.org. So that's the one that we're going to go to. This web page will provide us with all the documentation that we need for working on our React application. So we're going to go and search for class-based component. So if we scroll down here a little bit, we can see the first thing is this class-based component example. So this is a functional-based component, which is kind of similar, but there's a couple of differences. One being it extends this React.component, and it has a render method along with some return JSX. So we're just going to go and copy this. We're going to go back into our Visual Studio. We're going to paste that in, and we're going to change the name from welcome to component with state. So now that we've renamed our class, we need to also export it. So if we go to one of our other files and just copy and paste this export, put it down here and change the name. Now we call it component with state. So this is good. This bit here at the end that we're printing out the props. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. We're not going to be using that. All we're going to do is get it to print out hello. But before we can do that, we have to go and import the React component, because currently, even though the React component is bundled in with the React framework, but it's not currently in this file. So we need to go and import it first. And to do this, we can just say import React. And we're going to actually just put in a comma there with our curly brackets, and we're going to put whatever we want to take out of it. So in this case, we want to take out the component. So now that we've got component, we can say we want to take this from, and just put in React here, all lowercase. And since we're doing it with this syntax here, with the curly brackets, we can get rid of this React dot component. So we can just say extends component. It makes the code a little bit cleaner. Now, if we want to go and print this out, we could. The name of this component is component with state. So let's say we want to print this out inside the app, okay? Because the app is the main component that prints out everything else. That's just the structure of this. So again, if we want to do this, we go to our app component and we'll say we want to import component with state, and then we just need to specify where we want to import it from. So we'll say the directory components / component with state. And now if we go and grab this, and now we need to decide where we want to display it within inside the app. So let's just display it underneath this component with button that we've created in our previous video. So if we just put in a / and a greater than sign at the end of that, and we put in a less than sign, this should work. So I've just saved that there, and if we go back to our browser, we should see a change. So we can see in our web browser that we get the text being displayed hello. So that's brilliant. That's what we would expect. Now, the purpose of this video is to use our class-based components to print out whatever the state is, or we want to go and define the state and then display what that state is. So to do this, we're going to create a constructor, and our constructor is going to be defined just inside our class component. So if we just say constructor, and now inside our constructor, we're going to have to just call super. So we're going to call the super method with the 2 round brackets, and then after super, we can add in the state. So we can say this dot state, and we can set it equal to whatever we want. So we can set whatever in our state. So for example, we might want to hold a list of names in our state, or we might want to hold a list of numbers. We can hold a list of whatever we want inside our state. For this example, I'm going to hold a number, and this number is going to be a counter. So it's going to start at 0 and then can count, all the way up to whatever number we choose. So to do this, we have to set a variable, and you can call this whatever you want, but I'm going to call mine counter because it's going to act as a counter, and I'm going to set it equal to the number 0 because that's where it's going to start. And now I want to go and print out my counter. Now to do this, I need to print it out inside this return here, so using JSX. So to do this, I'm going to delete the hello, or I might actually leave the hello in there, and I might just add in another h1 element underneath. So if I go and copy this, I don't actually need that semicolon at the end, but what I do need, since I'm going to be returning multiple JSX elements, so there's 2 h1s here, I'm going to need to wrap my return in round brackets. So if I do this and I put 1 at the end, this should now work. If I also go and place a div, or contain these 2 elements within a div, so I'm just going to say div, and I'm going to copy that 1 and bring it down to the next line, and now I can straighten this up a little bit. So bring that back, bring the div back. Okay, so now it looks a little bit neater. So if I go and try and compile this, it works. And we can see 2 hellos being displayed onto the screen. But as we said, we don't want to display 2 hellos. We want to display our state. And in this case, our state holds a counter. So to do this, we could say some text. So we could say, this is the counter. And then we want to go and print out the number 0 in this case. But if this was, a real application where our state would constantly be changing, it would display whatever the number of the counter contained. So to do this, we're just going to put in our round brackets, and that's jumped backwards. So I'll just bring that forward again. And now to go and display the state, we'll say this dot state dot counter. And now if I go and save this, we should actually see the counter, or the counter's value. So we can see this is the counter 0. So if we were to change this to something like, 15 or whatever, we would then see 15 being displayed in our web page. So we can see 15 here. We could create another value here, and we could call it counter 2. And we could set counter 2 to another value. Maybe we'll set this value to 5. So then what we could do, just put in a comma there as well. The variables have to be separated by a comma. We could do something like this. We could say this dot state dot counter, and we want to take away the same. We want to take away this dot state dot counter, and we're just going to put 2 at the end. So this is going to take away the value from counter 1. So if we go and just compile this, we can see that the counter is now 10 because 15, which is the first counter, take away the second counter, which is 5, leaves us with 10. So that's how you can use state in React. In the next video, we're going to go and create a button which, when it's clicked, we're going to increment our state here, and then we're going to see that change being displayed onto the screen. But if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos with React. Have a good day.